All right, today we're going to talk about something that's, well, pretty fundamental. It's about how to truly see the world around us, and maybe even more important, how to see the world that's going on inside our own heads. And the good news is, it's a skill. And just like any other skill, it's something you can actually learn.
So let me ask you something. Just think about your day so far. I mean, from the second you woke up, how much of that time were you really present? And how much of it were you just, completely lost in a constant stream of thoughts? Thinking about the past, worrying about the future, running through that mental to-do list? It's probably a lot more than you think, right?
And this image, it just nails the whole problem, doesn't it? Is your mind full, just jammed with a chaotic mess of tasks and worries? Or are you mindful, actually clear, present, and aware of what's happening? The real question is, how do we get from the person on the left to the person on the right?
Well, to start, we have to get honest about the state most of us are living in, most of the time. Let's call it what it is, living on autopilot.
Think about your morning routine. Brushing your teeth, making coffee, the commute to work. How much of that do you actually truly remember? A ton of what we do every single day is just autopilot. Our bodies are going through the motions, but our minds, they're totally somewhere else. We're physically there, but mentally, we've checked out.
And look, this whole autopilot thing, it's not harmless, not at all. It's actually a direct path to feeling scattered, stressed out, and anxious. We end up missing what's literally right in front of our faces because we're not actually seeing it. We're just reacting based on old habits and ideas, not really responding to what's happening in the now. So, how do we break this cycle? How do we switch off the autopilot? It all starts with one simple but powerful move: learning to think about our own thinking.
And yeah, there's a fancy word for this: metacognition. It sounds complicated, but it's not. Meta just means beyond. So it's the ability to get beyond your thoughts, to stand back and just observe your own mind doing its thing. It's that moment you realize, hey, I'm really struggling with this. Or, wait a minute, maybe I should double check that before I believe it.
And this idea, metacognition, it kind of has two sides to it. First, there's the knowledge part. This is about knowing yourself, your mental habits, your strengths, your biases. And then there's the regulation part. That's the active bit, using what you know about yourself to plan, monitor, and, adjust your thinking on the fly.
Okay, so that leads us to our first real, practical tool for getting out of this rut. We need to upgrade the mental maps we're all using to navigate the world.
We do that using something called a mental model. So, what is a mental model? Well, think of it as a simplified little explanation for how something works. The world is incredibly complex, right? A mental model takes all that complexity and squishes it down into a chunk our brain can actually handle.
And if there's one mental model you should really get to know, maybe the most important one of all for seeing clearly, it's this one. The map is not the territory. So, what on earth does that mean?
It's simple, but it's huge. It means that whatever picture of reality you have in your head, all your beliefs, your assumptions, your memories, that's not the real thing. It's just a map. And just like a real map, it can be outdated, it can be biased, or it could be just flat out wrong. Remembering this is so powerful because it forces you to question what you think you know.
Okay, so if we know our internal maps can be flawed, how do we actually get better at seeing the territory, at seeing what's really there? Well, this is where we get into some practical routines for seeing.
You can think of these like little workouts for your brain. Seriously, they're simple, you can do them over and over, and they're designed to build up that muscle of observation and push past our lazy autopilot brain. So here's a simple but really powerful one. First, you just look at any object, anything, for about 30 seconds. And then you list 10 things you see. Sounds easy, right? But here's the kicker. You do it again. You look at the exact same object and force your brain to find 10 more things. So why do it twice? Because that first pass, that's your autopilot brain listing all the obvious stuff. It's easy. That second pass, that's where the magic happens. It's hard. It forces you to go beyond your first impression, to slow down, and to notice all the little details and textures you totally blew past the first time. It is a true workout for your attention. And when you start doing this stuff, when you start practicing these routines and upgrading your mental models, something really profound starts to happen. You begin to shift from just being a thinker to becoming an observer. And this, right here, is the end game. The goal isn't to stop thinking. That's impossible. The goal is to change your relationship with your thoughts. It's to realize that you are not your thoughts. You are the one who is aware of them. Here's the best way I've ever heard it put. Being lost in your thoughts is like being in a car, driving, totally stuck in the traffic jam of your own mind. But observing your thoughts, that's like stepping out of the car and onto the sidewalk. You can just watch the traffic, all the thoughts, go by, without having to get in and get swept away by them. And from that sidewalk, man, you are free. You realize that a thought is just a thought. It's a passing event in your consciousness. You don't have to believe it, you don't have to fight with it, and you for sure don't have to let it control you. You can just let it go.
So let's just recap the journey here. We start by realizing we're on autopilot. Then we learn to think about our own thinking. That's metacognition. We use mental models to question what we think is real, and we use simple routines to train ourselves to see what is real. And it all leads to that one big breakthrough, observing our thoughts without getting lost in them.
Which leaves us with one last thing to think about. We spent so much time and energy trying to wrestle with and control our thoughts. But what happens if you just stop? What if you just step onto that sidewalk and watch the traffic of your mind go by? What do you finally start to notice?